Hey folks, I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen.
And today on Cabin Life, we're talking about a dirty little secret. If you care about Spaceship Earth, Houston, we have a problem.
Hello, welcome to our channel. We're all about sharing our adventures and experiences around our homestead and off-grid cabin here on our 40 acres in the wilderness of Ontario, Canada. If you haven't done so yet, consider subscribing and click the little notification bell so you won't miss anything right here on Cabin Life with Glenn and Maureen.
So today on Cabin Life, we're talking about the environment. And if you care about the environment, then perhaps there's more that we can do collectively to help improve the environment and help turn things around in this critical situation that we face. Today, we're talking about gray water.
And gray water is the wastewater that comes from our sinks, our tubs, our laundry tub, our dishwasher, our washing machine, anything that comes from waste except for our toilet. Our toilet water is called black water. Everything else is gray water that's waste from the house.
When we think about gray water, usually we don't really put a lot of thought into it. Now, I guess we'll address, the people that are camping and those that live off grid. I don't know, even just working around the household, the homestead, you could be in the city washing the car and putting soapy suds on and then having to dispose of that. Now they have good management systems for the most part in the cities to handle all that gray water and to treat it and then purify it. But in the country and in the wilderness here, it's a different situation. That's something we have to learn to handle and manage on our own.
And that can start with just a simple thing, shopping. When you go shopping, look at your labels. What kind of ingredients are in the soaps and any other chemicals that we're putting into our gray water system? If we start there and take care of the environment by making certain that what we put in is something that's good for the environment.
Talking about something as simple as gray water may appear to be, on the surface anyway, insignificant in the agenda to reduce the effects of climate change, but when one delves into what gray water actually is and the range that it takes on and how it affects the environment and what impacts that it may have on us locally and globally, it gives one pause for thought. Gray water isn't a black and white topic. It's gray water, and it's a dirty little secret. It ranges from harmless, discarded drinking water to mixtures of chemicals that combine to create a toxic soup. How these elements and chemicals are dealt with remains a question of concern. In areas where waste management systems are in place, then gray water isn't necessarily on the tip of one's awareness on a daily basis. But in areas that are more remote and communities that have to discard gray water by their own means, then it's a whole different story. Gray water is a dirty little secret that often contains substances, toxins, and chemicals that go down the drain along with the water, and we don't really know what's in it. That's the dirty little secret. It's not just the household everyday throwaway water, but it's also water from, for instance, rain leaching through the land, making its way into the roadside ditches that eventually empty into lowlands and wetlands, creeks, and lakes. This could be anything from road salt to agricultural and industrial waste that ends up in the drainage pathways and in the ecosystem. The accumulation of the non-biodegradable agents and chemicals must eventually impact the environment, adding to the overall stresses taking place in an ecosystem. If not treated at the point of insertion into the biosphere and landscape, then it could be a real problem. Many of these chemicals are termed forever chemicals. They just simply don't break down over thousands of years.
For decades, manufacturers have gotten away with adding a plethora of chemicals to a full range of products that people use every day in their homes, all for the sake of the nicest aroma, the cleanest, the fastest, the smoothest, and the brightest. Most people aren't even aware that so many toxic chemicals are right there in their homes. Most of these chemicals are hidden behind masked classes or types of chemical, the brightener, the emulsifier. Now, the biggest concern is PFAs. These are chemicals that have been dubbed forever chemicals, used to make products grease-proof, waterproof, stick-proof, and stain-resistant. When was the last time you bought something waterproof or stain-resistant? We've all done it. These are added to food packaging, pizza boxes, food wrappers, takeout containers, microwave popcorn bags, disposable trays, bakery bags, and it goes on and on.
So read labels, read what's in the products that you use, what's in the detergents. Try to reduce your use of phosphates, that kind of thing. Shampoos, household products, products in the garage. In the communities with the waste management systems, it can be handled so much easier, as much of it never reaches the waterways and ecosystems. In the rural areas and wilderness areas that are more remote, however, we are responsible for disposing of our own gray water. And some of us are more responsible than others. So it comes down to how we handle our own throwaway water. Being responsible and feeling the weight of that responsibility means being aware of what we use and what is in the products that we use and what goes into the gray water, into that gray water soup that we create on a daily basis. When one thinks of all the products and all the ingredients, the chemicals, the toxic soup that is created collectively, it makes one wonder, where do all of those chemicals go? They go somewhere, and they have to end up somewhere. Hopefully this video can help create an awareness of what is discarded and thrown away as gray water. And perhaps we can also be part of the remedy on a daily basis by being mindful of the products we use, how much of them we use, and how much we throw away, and how we dispose of them. By reducing pollutants that are being injected into the environment and by changing some of our behaviors and looking at implementing safe alternatives and safeguarding that proper disposal methods are put into place, we can all help the environment. By doing what we can make it so it's not a dirty little secret, but something we are very aware of and mindful of.
You know, whether a person lives in the city or whether they live out in the country, they're off grid, we all contribute to it, right? Because it is like Glenn says, in the city they can process it and everything else, but there's still chemicals going in. And what's more critical is when people are living out in the rural areas, like off grid, and your gray water goes right onto your land. And how can you take care of your land in the wilderness at your homestead and at your home to make certain that you're taking care of everything from this basic level? Gray water systems they can come set up as simplistic and easy as you want, or there's systems that are quite complex depending on what they're being used for, how many people are in the household, and what you're trying to accomplish. Some people, they have, instead of having septic systems, they'll have a composting toilet or an outhouse to take care of the dirty stuff. And then they'll have a gray water pit to take care of the stuff from, like I said before, from your different tubs, your sinks, your laundry tub, and so forth. And the most important part about gray water pits is making certain that you don't make them toxic. You keep them good and clean by watching what you put in them, which is what you use for your laundry soap or your dish soap or the cleaners or whatever goes down your drains. You'd be really mindful of. Some gray water systems are set up so that they can be like an irrigation system where they run right to the gardens and the lawns and they take care of all that automatically. And that's where it's really crucial to make certain that there are diverting systems put in so that the only water that goes into the gray water system is something that you want to be watering your gardens or your lawns with.
Sometimes gray water pits can just generally be made up of a of a pit that's full of sand and gravel and has enough distance that by the time that it comes out the other end, it just depends on how much effluent that you are, taxing on the system. Depends on, also the lay of the land, the geography. If it's on a hill and you're disposing of your gray water on a hill, it could find its way into the water table just by gravity and, heavy rains and so forth could wash that leachate down into where the water table is.
When people are mindful of what they're putting into their gray water system, they can actually recover the majority of the water that they use for their daily use at home and on their homesteads. So it's like double using your water.
So it's pretty easy to design your own gray water pit. You can Google it. There's lots of YouTube videos on it. And that just helps to mitigate some of the issues that may come up as you dispose of your gray water on a daily basis. We've all made mistakes in the past where maybe we disposed of something and kind of knew it was kind of questionable whether we should or not. And that's where we, as Maureen said, we need to be mindful of that stuff. And maybe there's another way of disposing of that and another place where it can be disposed of as opposed to just, tossing it into a bush or what have you. So just something to think about. That's all for this one. We'll see you next time. I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen.
Over and out.
Take care.